Hello? Hello? Test, test, test. Good morning. Well, I saw everyone raise your hand as far as doing deals. That is incredible, and I'm honored to be here with everyone. The question I want to ask a couple questions. I actually want to come down here because I feel like I was way up there. Who here has raised money for a deal before? Who has not raised money but wants to raise money? And who wants to just raise money, more money than they currently are raising, regardless if they have or haven't? I mean, that should be everyone, right? So I'm going to make a preposterous claim, and that is going to be, by the end of my very short conversation with you right now, you will have an outcome, a solution to your challenge of raising more money. And in addition to that, I'm going to make another preposterous claim. Who wants to find more off-market deals? Who wants to figure out how to buy in a hot market? And I might not have as many hands on this one, but I'm still going to ask it. Who wants to get over some sort of self-doubt or fear about what they're doing right now? Cool. All right, so this presentation, in the very short amount of time I have, I will have solutions for those things. But in addition, we're going to do long-term success habits that I've identified, that I've used, that have helped me get to where I'm at. So let's roll right into this. A little bit about me, really quick. Wrote a book with Theo Hicks. Theo, you here? He's somewhere around there. I control $101 to $102 million worth of real estate. That has been within the last, I bought my first place in July of 2013, and I've scaled from $7 million to $102 million in the last 15, 16 months. And then most importantly, I have a real estate investing podcast. It's the longest running daily real estate investing podcast out there. And the reason why I say that's most important is because this isn't just me talking about my personal experience. It's the conversations I've had with over 900 real estate investors across the country and across the world. So it's not just me talking, it's the insights that I've gotten from all these conversations. So that's why I'm able to provide you with the solutions to those questions that we just talked about. And by the way, Ben was talking about how this is a personalized conference. It is a personalized conference, and the reason why is because every one of you filled out a form that said, this is an obstacle in my business, and Ben also talked to most of you on the phone. And I read every single one of those obstacles in the businesses, and that's how this presentation was created. This isn't a presentation that I had before this conference. It's a presentation that was created just for you. Here we go. Real quick. So here's the question. How do I source capital from high net worth individuals and get off-market deals? I combined it. Who has a deal that you can think of, or a type of deal, that would be really hard to raise money for? Yes, sir.
Meth property.
A meth property? So we've got it blew up? Or we got meth addicts in there? Meth lab.
Yeah.
That would be a tough one. Yes. One more? Did you raise your hand, Omar? 18-unit, totally distressed, completely vacant, renovation. How do you get investors for that? I don't know if I one up the meth property, but I'm definitely going to one up that. I just interviewed Dave Van Horn. Some of you familiar with Dave Van Horn? He buys notes, note buying. How about this? How about a delinquent upside-down mortgage in bankruptcy? Want to invest? He raises money, and he's raising $50 million this year, and he has performing notes, but he also invests money for non-performing notes. And he gets investors to invest in delinquent, upside-down mortgages in bankruptcy. How does he do it? He does it the same way that Kathy Fedke does it with the Real Wealth Network. He does it the same way Jeremy Roll does it. He does it the same way I do it. And here's the secret. The richest people in the world build networks. Everyone else looks for work. Richest people in the world build networks. Everyone else looks for work. The most important thing that we can do to play the long game in real estate investing is to build a network, and what I like to call a thought leadership platform. The importance of that in my personal business, I can tell you, it's gotten me where I'm at. And what is a thought leadership platform? It can come to life in one of four ways. 1, podcast. 2, YouTube channel. 3, blog. 4, in-person event. The key to have a successful thought leadership platform or a network, like Robert Kiyosaki says when I interviewed him, episode 262, is to be consistent. It's to identify how you're uniquely qualified and what your unique angle is. For example, the Best Ever Conference, Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever podcast. You can do one of two things. You can have a brand that uniquely stands out in the marketplace, or you can leverage your own unique experience. And an example of that, you'll hear later, Jimmy and Bob, they are lease option masters. They're going to be presenting later. And they were raising $50,000 a month from investors to do lease options. After they established their YouTube channel, their backgrounds, by the way, are a West Point grad and an Air Force grad. So they call their YouTube channel Joint Ops. Fitting, right? So they can uniquely own that. It tells a story of their background. It opens up the conversation with investors. Oh, Joint Ops, where'd that come from? Well, we were actually in the military, and that's how we came about it. They uniquely own that. And when they started that, $200,000 a month from investors that they're getting. But here's the thing. I don't want you to think that by starting a thought leadership platform, you're going to get instant results from people you don't know. Not the case. However, what they found is that when you start a thought leadership platform, your sphere of influence that currently exists automatically starts knowing what you're doing, and you start being the thought leader within your sphere of influence. It takes time. It takes a lot of time and consistent effort, publishing stuff, to get strangers into your sphere. But you'll get instantaneous results with the people you already know, and you're connected to on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever social media platform that you have. So build a network. Don't worry about work. Don't worry about finding the next deal. If you don't have a blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel, or an in-person meetup that meets consistently, you're not following this advice, you're not following the Best Ever advice. We've got to build a network. And here's one more key about a network, because I'm spending the most of my time on this point, and we've got some other things we're going to go through quickly. This is the most important point. Tie into a large distribution channel that already exists. Do not recreate the wheel. That's why I said a YouTube channel. Billions of people, I think billions, many millions are on YouTube. A blog, if you start a blog, don't start it in a silo. Start on your website, but then post on BiggerPockets in the blog forum and start building your traffic through that by establishing relationships. Podcast, iTunes, billions of people already. In-person meetup, a little tricky, but I can tell you a success story. Jared Sturm, he's going to be on a panel later. He just moved to Atlanta 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I have personally I started a meetup in Cincinnati 2 years ago. I get about 30, 35 people at my meetup. I started from scratch, okay? Jared moved to Atlanta, hosted his first meetup. His first meetup had 90 plus people attend. How the hell did he do that? He tied into an existing meetup, and all of a sudden, he's standing up here on stage talking to 90 plus people, and he's the guy that's bringing it all together because he strategically partnered with another meetup. So tie into an existing platform, partner up. That's why we're all here, and I honor you for being here. We've got to partner up and tie into existing platform. All right. How do I get over self-doubt and fear? I have a client who I won't name, but he is in attendance. When every time I talk to the client, the first thing I say is, what's the best thing that's happened to you over the last couple days, week, whatever? And I also ask, how's it going? And here's why. I ask what's the best thing that happened to you since the last time we talked, because it puts them in a frame of mind, an abundance mentality. And this client, when I say, how's it going, he'll say, not too bad. And if we think about how to dissect that, not too bad, well, that's not good, right? Not too bad. And so we have to, the takeaway is we have to be careful with our language and the language we use. When I was reading through the obstacles that were submitted, that you all submitted, one person said, get over the fear of what happens if I raise money but I don't find a deal? What happens if I raise money and the deal doesn't work out? What happens if I can't raise the money? Instead of asking those questions, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Trevor McGregor is going to be speaking later, and he's my personal business coach and some others. So he'll recognize this, and anyone else who's a Tony Robbins fan will. We have to ask better questions. Some of you Tony Robbins fans saw that coming, right? We have to ask better questions. So instead of what happens if it doesn't work out, ask how do others do this who they do accomplish this goal? How do people raise money and find a deal? So instead of saying, what happens if I don't? Screw that. Forget it. Don't ask that question. How do others do it that are currently doing it? Model them, stick with them, and grow together. How do I get deals in a hot market? I'm going to give you a specific example. We're closing on next month. Isn't that cool? I like that picture. You got to get creative, and you have to create the opportunity. And here's a specific example. On-market deal in Dallas, Richardson, if anyone's familiar with the Dallas area. Marketed to everyone. On-market deal. Was going at a pretty competitive rate, 317 units, mostly one bedrooms. We liked the deal, but it was getting bid up. It's a hot market. And by the way, I hate the generalization of this is a hot real estate market. That's dumb. It's all about local. It's all about each individual market. So when I'm saying that, I'm talking about the market that you're investing in particular, because real estate is local. So we got this on-market, highly marketed deal that everyone has access to, and we're looking at it, we're like, this looks pretty good, but the returns just aren't working out. So what we did, we looked across the street. Across the street, 250 units, mostly 2 bedrooms, mostly 3 bedrooms. And we thought, We talked to someone who had a relationship with the owner, and we ended up putting both of the deals, the mostly 1 bedroom and mostly 2 bedrooms, under, we made offers simultaneously. And by taking the strategy of creating value out of thin air, because we will have economies of scale if we own both properties, therefore we can afford to pay a little bit more on one because we're going to pay less on the operating expenses in total. Major value creation. We got under contract, both of them. The off-market deal, the on-market deal. I guarantee you, nobody else took that approach. I guarantee you, nobody else took that approach. And we're $30 million worth of real estate we're closing on next month. It's a hot market, yeah. And if we underwrite the deals just like everyone else, we're not going to buy anything, or we're going to buy and we're going to be underwater. But when we create value out of thin air by being creative, like that little dude, then we have a competitive advantage. And by the way, that's just one example of 50 that I could say. Change all the one bedrooms and make them some of the two, increase rent. If the numbers work, who knows? All sorts of things you can do. So think about when you look at a deal, don't look at it like everyone else. Think about what's around the area. Maybe there's something I can buy in tandem, and we can offer a little bit more on this marketed thing and not as much on the other. How do I take my biz to the next level? 3-step process. And I can tell you that my growth has gone from, I had 4 single-family homes, so right there. Then I had a 160 unit right there. Then I stayed there for a little bit. And then I partnered up with someone who complements my strengths and helps me out with all my weaknesses. Perfect partnership. And then I went like this. Last 16 months, I don't know, like $80 million worth of real estate. Last 16 months. Well, no, screw it. It's not about me. It's not about me. I say that only to mention how important this is. And it's supposed to be 102. That's why I said 102. It's supposed to be 102. Number one, really simple process. Know yourself and what you're good at within your biz. It takes a little bit of time, and thankfully, most of us have done some deals. So we should be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, what am I really good at? What am I not good at? And build a team around it. Once you do that, your business is going to flourish. So specifically, in case you're curious, I'm good at equity raising. That's my specialty. I'm also good at marketing. That's what I'm uniquely talented in. My business partner, he worked at a multifamily firm for 8-9 years, did underwriting, disposition, asset management, all that stuff. He's phenomenal at that stuff. I have a non-traditional background. I'm good at it. I'm not phenomenal at it. So we partnered up, match made in heaven. Okay, really quick. It's important to overcome our short-term obstacles, and that was what we just did, getting deals, finding in a hot market, finding off-market deals, raising money, fear and doubt. But now, this wouldn't be the best ever conference if we didn't set you up for the long run too. So I'm bringing down the conversation, bringing down the mood, right? That being said, this is present in my mind every day. And I'm a huge fan of the Tim Ferriss podcast. Question he asks, if you had a billboard, what would it say? And it would say, you are dying, not I am dying, but you are dying. Because we are. And what we can do to transform that into action is really simple. And this is something I heard from Jim Rome on watching a YouTube video. And he said, or maybe it was Zig Ziglar, he said, don't think about life in terms of years. Think about it in terms of experiences. For example, I live in Ohio. My mom, my dad, they live in Texas. I visit them twice a year-ish, maybe a little bit more, 3-4 times. 3-4 times 20 years, 80 experiences I have left with my family. When we think about it that way instead of years, it makes us act differently. In this philosophy, Stoicism, Tim Ferriss talks about that a lot, this philosophy will actually empower us to make more of our time. It's constantly present in my mind. I watch documentaries on people who are terminally ill just to learn. I'm setting up, went through a whole long process to volunteer for hospice. This is important to me because we have to make the most use of our time. All right. change mood. Sweat every day, get a Fitbit, do the Android thing, track it. Highly recommend sweat every day. I am grateful for. This is something that my fiance and I do every time before we eat a meal. We say something that we're grateful for. And when we have a philosophy, or when we're in the mindset of gratitude, then nothing else can penetrate that. No self-doubt, no fear, no being disgusted. We are grateful. Just a personal thing, I have a scoop of wheatgrass every morning and a liter of water, alkalizes my body. If you're interested in that sort of stuff or learning more, pH Miracle is a book that talks all about that. I journal every day. This 2/26/2016, this is the actual journal entry that I wrote. 2/26/16. Woke up at 4 a.m. I journal every single day. Woke up at 4 a.m. and caught up on sending letter docs to Alara. That is a 155 unit that we bought in Houston. Frank, my business partner, called me last night saying that the seller is now going back on his written word that he agreed to $5.65 million sales price. Just the latest bump in the road. We got that property under contract for 5.9, and then we found all sorts of bad debt and just deferred maintenance. So we negotiated back to 5.65. Our earnest money was hard, so we're in a tough spot. We ended up getting it for 5.65 after all. Getting a haircut today and going to work out. And today patch of land. Today I'm going to record a bunch of ads, do some follow-up calls, and meet Eric, who is Kevin from Patch of Land's brother-in-law. That's all I do, just journal every day. And one of the obstacles that was stated was, how do I create small victories? If I'm just starting out, which a lot of us are not, but if you are just starting out, journal. Well, everyone should journal, but if you are starting out, what journaling does is when you look back a week, 2 weeks, a month, you see those small victories. Create something every day. There's fulfillment in creation. There's not fulfillment in maintenance. Be fulfilled, create something every day. What I'm choosing to create is the best ever brand, best ever conference. By the way, we might lose money on this conference. We might break even, or we might make a couple $1,000s at most. And if we make money, we're donating it to a nonprofit here locally. So I'm not here to make money on this conference. I'm here to build new friendships, and I'm here to reinforce the current friendships that I have. That's it. This is not a money-making machine for us. This is a relationship-building event for us. So create something every day. Goal setting. My recommendation is to think about it 10, 12, 1. 10, 12, 1 goal setting. This is my office. 10 stands for 10-year goal. 12 stands for 12-month goal. 1 stands for your 1-month goals. And I don't just say this, I actually do it. So top left corner, that is a poster of my vision board that includes, tough to tell, but that's a picture of me in the middle. On Forbes magazine, it says billionaire. It says billionaire. And I had that design 3-4 years ago. And that, in addition, there's other stuff like get married, and at the bottom, the secret to living is giving. Tony Robbins talks about that, my favorite mantra. I have a vision board, and then I went to Vistaprint, and I printed out this gigantic thing, cost $20, and that's my desk. I look at that vision board, because I have to, when I'm working. It's constantly in my head. So that is the 12-month, but I also included my 10-year, which is Forbes billionaire. And then I included the whiteboard behind me because that's my monthly goal. So it's really simple. I know what my 10-year is, billionaire. I know what my annual is, vision board. I know my monthly, to get me to that point, the whiteboard, the dry erase board. And then to the right, in case you're curious, that's my inspiration wall. I have letters from people. I have things that disgust me, like the agenda when I was in advertising of some bunch of stuff that I didn't want to do. And it's about an 80-20, in case you're curious. 80% inspiration, 20% it disgusts me, just in case I need it. Bonus, and if you're counting, that was 7, this is 8, right? We got to have the best ever bonus. This is the last thing. I think this is going to be a theme based on what Ben was saying and what you've heard me talk about. It's about relationships. It's more about, and it's more than just relationships, about friendships. And what I do, my goal for conferences is a little bit different because I'm hosting this conference with Ben. But typically what my goal is to make one new friend per day. One new friend a day, that's it. Everyone in this room knows it, but I'm just going to mention, just to say it, because it's a pet peeve of mine. Never, ever give out business cards and be like, hey, here's my business card, nice to meet you. Hey, that's all happened to us, right? People, we've been at a real estate meetup. It's so dumb. It's not the way to approach it. I recommend, this is just my recommendation, make one new friend per day that you're here. If you want an example of how that works from a business standpoint, listen to Tim Ferriss's YouTube, or watch Tim Ferriss's YouTube video on how to hack South by Southwest. He talks about his approach, and he talks about that, and it's been very beneficial. Okay, this last slide. Summarize. 1, build an interview-based thought leadership platform. I didn't mention interview-based. It must be interview-based. The reason why is because once you interview someone, then they promote it to their people. It must be interview-based. Otherwise, you're speaking in a silo. So build an interview-based thought leadership platform. Believe, then verbalize that you're capable of big things. Create opportunities. They might not exist. Well, great. Then create them. That's how we're going to get the deals in a hot market. Scale your business by knowing what you're uniquely good at. And then think about the experiences, not the number of years. How many experiences do you have left? How many conferences do you have left in your life to attend? Not years. Think about experiences. Sweat. Name the things you're grateful for. I do water and wheatgrass every morning. Daily journal. Create something for your interview-based thought leadership platform every day. Surround yourself with 12-month and 10-year goals. Nothing in between, because I think there's a lot of stuff that can happen in between. And focus on getting one new friend at this conference a day. Thanks a lot.